government blames international community for appeasing Houthi militia. Houthi drone strikes on Qana port draw regional and international condemnation. Houthi criminal machine claims lives of Yemeni children nationwide. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Shaza Abdelbain. The Yemeni parliament issued a statement calling for the resumption of military operations, which is an option if international efforts fail to make the militia choose peace. This report has more details.
UN Special Envoy to Yemen Hans Grunberg is scheduled to brief the UN Security Council on the developments of his efforts to renew the truce in the coming week. The briefing comes amid growing official and widespread anger among Houthis over the continuous attacks on oil export ports and the lean international positions towards its terrorism. The Houthi militia rejected the envoy's proposal to extend and expand the collapsed truce, as it sought to blackmail the government to obtain economic and political gains, and threatened to continue launching terrorist attacks on oil export ports. In response, the Yemeni parliament issued a statement calling for the resumption of military operations, an option that observers consider possible if international efforts fail to reach a breakthrough that convinces the militias to choose peace. The parliamentary statement called on the Presidential Leadership Council to do what is necessary to teach these militias the lessons and destroy their military capabilities as a response to their aggressive attacks. The Undersecretary stressed the need to specify a period for agreements related to a lasting truce or a peace process. After 6 weeks of failed efforts to extend the truce, officials suggested supporting the government by putting Houthis on the list of international terrorism, activating agreements and protocols signed with Arab and Western countries in this regard, and cancelling any international representation of the movement. The statement also called for speedy decision-making to deter the Houthis, restore the state by various means, and save the Yemeni people from the crimes that they practice daily.
The Houthi attack on Qana port in Shabwa last week drew a wide-scale condemnation from international parties. This report has more details.
Western and Arab nations condemned the terrorist Houthi militia attack on the commercial port of Qana in the Yemeni governorate of Shabwa, calling it an insult to the basic principles of the law of the sea. On Thursday, Iranian-backed militias used a booby-trapped drone to attack the commercial port of Qana, located in the Shabwa province on the Arabian Sea, injuring the crew of a tanker that was unloading a consignment of petroleum at the port. It is one of several strikes aimed against the ports of Dabba and Hadramaut and Al-Nashima in Shabwa. The European Union mission in Yemen, as well as the diplomatic missions of its member countries, released a statement denouncing the incident. The European statement called the repeated Houthi attacks on international navigation an insult to the basic principles of the law of the sea, emphasizing the importance of the Houthi militias respecting their obligations under international law and cooperating fully with the UN efforts to renew the truce and reach a political settlement in Yemen. The United Kingdom, France, and the United States have all sharply criticized the Houthi attack. According to the country's ambassadors, the Houthis have once again demonstrated their abject failure to prioritize the Yemeni people by launching another assault on international shipping and the flow of basic necessities. Attempting to deprive millions of Yemenis of access to basic goods through economic warfare will only exacerbate the conflict and humanitarian crisis. The Houthi militia, for its part, mocked the condemnations and called them provocative. In tweets, a number of its officials promised to carry out further terrorist strikes in order to halt oil exports from Yemeni ports. A prominent militia leader, Mohammed al-Bakhiti, told the Western ambassadors, "We put your statements under our feet, and we are moving forward to strike any ship." The Yemeni Minister of Information stated that the Houthi militia seeks to impose a siege on the Yemeni people by stopping the arrival of goods and consumables through the Yemeni ports, cutting the sources of financing the public treasury, and obstructing the government's efforts to normalize the situation, provide services and pay the salaries of state employees and retirees in the liberated areas. Yemen's minister urged the international community and the UN to take deterrent measures, work forcefully to end Iranian meddling in Yemeni affairs, and label the Houthi movement a terrorist organization.
One of the kidnapped prisoners died in Sana'a as a result of torture in the prisons of Houthis. Human rights sources said that the kidnapped Mohammed Abdulrahman has been in the group's prison for 4 years, where he was subjected to many types of torture. A human rights organization said it documented the killing of about 300 citizens who died under torture in Houthi prisons. Masan project for demining in Yemen removed more than 700 mines and explosive devices in the second week of November. The project indicated that the total mines seized since the beginning of the month amounted to 1,335 mines, which were randomly planted by the Houthi militia. More than 10,000 children have been killed or maimed in the war, according to the UN. Other thousands of children are still being recruited by the Houthis in the war. This report has more details.
There is nothing left here but the remains of shrapnel from a missile that fell on this room, in which the two girls, Rumoush and Rahab, were sleeping in Al Jufaina camp for displaced people in Ma'rib Governorate. Mohammed, the uncle of the two girls, says that minutes after the missile had landed, he entered the room to a very shocking scene, but he couldn't save the girls. It was too late.
I entered the room after the missile exploded. Everything was gone already. I was able to take one of the girls out, but I couldn't get the other, as the rocket was stuck in her body. We called the engineering team to help us remove her body.
Children who have no guilt except that they live in the time of war. They are not the first and last victims of the bombing. A year ago, sadness descended on the city of Ma'rib, and the Yemenis did not forget until this moment the scene of the girl Layan, who was killed by the bombing of a missile fired by the Houthi militia on the city, and dozens of children followed her. Today, the two girls, Rumoush and Rahab, left a state of terror and panic among women and children, especially those who were close to the accident.
It was a scary night by all means. Women, children, and everyone in the area was terrified. They were crying and screaming, calling for help. The scene was extremely traumatizing. People got displaced. They left their homes and areas and are living now in tents, escaping the Houthi violence. However, they are getting targeted inside their tents by the Houthi missiles. We call on the international community to stop them immediately.
For what sin was she killed? A banner raised by Rumoush's classmates in the school she studied at, denouncing the silence of the United Nations towards the repeated crimes committed by the Houthi group against childhood in Yemen. They ask how long silence will prevail regarding what children are exposed to.
We are surprised with the international silence towards the continuous Houthi crimes and extreme violence, targeting Yemeni civilians, killing them, and burning their bodies to death. These innocent children are not causing them any threat. They are not holding weapons. Why would they target them?
Despite their escape from the fire of war, the Houthi killing machine constantly violates the innocence of childhood. According to human rights reports, in Ma'rib Governorate only, 161 children were killed and 335 were wounded from the year 2014 till 2022.
An official document stated that the Houthi rebels directed the Customs Authority to release a shipment of expired medical solutions. The document, bearing the signature of the Houthis, responsible authority on the Ministry of Health in the capital Sana'a, and the document stated that the shipment was provided by the World Health Organization. A child died of dengue fever in Taiz, while his brother is still under observation. Local sources said that the death is related to the spread of fevers in the city of Taiz, without any action from the responsible authorities in the governorate. The spread of the sickness is due to mosquitoes that spread diseases as a result of open sewage, waste, and failure to maintain public and personal hygiene. The College of Medicine at the University of Taz held a workshop for the description of 2 master's programs in the medical laboratories. The workshop comes to meet the existing needs in light of the siege imposed on Taz.
This workshop aims at opening new branch in high studies on medical laboratories. The specializations include medical microbiology, hematology, biochemistry, and clinical master's degree in surgical internal nursing. We are trying to provide academic medical staff in the hospitals, as well as covering the education shortage in the colleges of medicine. This in addition to the work as supervisors in the medical institutions.
Coming next in the news. The old Sana'a city is living testimony of Yemen's historical architecture.
ننشر ندي ماء من الغيل والغيلة بعيد، كنا ندي بالدواب نعبي ماء ورجعنا. ننزل الساعة 5 رجعنا الساعة 9.
ما يقلنا ظهر لأنه زحمة ما حد يخلي الجهل يغرق وإحنا تعبنا زيادة.
وكنت أحس صدري يوجعني وعز قدرك ركبي يوجعيني.
كنا ما نستخدم حتى نغسل أولادنا إلا يعني بأيام معدودة.
كنت أغيب على المدرسة لأن كنت أروح الديمة.
حتى وإن كان يجي الأمطار تروح هدم لأنه ما في معي خزانة.
الوقت نشتري ب30,000 هي معها استهلاك ما يغلقش معها الشهر.
بس راح تطلب الله ولا أي حاجة، عاملة كل شغلك على الماء.
Welcome back. The city of Sayun and Hadramaut organized the annual festival for games amid a large and official attendance. This report has more details.
Among the 80 grooms and brides, Bilal Ahmed had a precious opportunity as part of the group marriage that the city of Sayun and Hadramaut witnessed within the framework of its annual popular festival known as Matla al-Matala.
I thank all organizers for the great effort they have made to target this festival. We thank all those who have contributed in the organization of the wedding. We offer all services for the groom. We give him his attire and a financial support. The contract and the party are all organized by the festival. As to the bride, we give her good jewelry, a complete dress, a wedding dress, and a financial aid.
The festivities are organized while believing in the importance of facilitating marriage for young people in a way that embodies official and popular integration. Matla al-Matala Festival is one of the popular festivals that the people in Hadramaut have been holding for more than a century with the aim of highlighting the Hadrami heritage and the rich cultural and artistic heritage with which the Hadrami people enjoy.
Matla al-Matala is one of the original Hadrami heritage festivals. It presents the culture and the civilization of Hadramaut. Luckily, the youth also participated in this festival in order to connect the present with the past and to never forget the heritage of the ancestors.
The festival was distinguished by a variety of activities such as folk games, sessions of the Hadrami folklore, and artistic dances, foremost of which is the Shabwani dance poems. These arts remain high-end colors that distinguish the people of Hadramaut, striving to preserve and revive their heritage throughout the days and years.
Located in a mountain valley, Old Sana'a dates back to 2,000 years. Over 6,000 houses were built before the 11th century. It was a commercial center for Yemenis with dozens of traditional markets. This report has more details.
Situated in a mountain valley at an altitude of 2,200 meters, the old city of Sana'a is defined by an extraordinary density of rammed earth and burned brick towers, rising several stories above stone-built ground floors, strikingly decorated with geometric patterns of fired bricks. Within the city, the skyline and spacious green gardens are scattered between the densely packed houses, mosques, and bath buildings, as an outstanding example of a homogeneous architectural ensemble, reflecting the spatial characteristics of the early years of Islam. The city in its landscape has an extraordinary artistic and pictorial quality. The houses of Sana'a, which have become vulnerable as a result of contemporary social changes, are an example of outstanding masterpiece and traditional human settlement. Sana'a is directly and tangibly associated with the history of the spread of Islam. In the early years of Prophet Muhammad's migration, the Great Mosque of Sana'a, which is built in the 6th year of the migration, is known as the first mosque built outside Mecca and Al-Medina. The old city of Sana'a has played a major role in Yemen, Arab, and Islamic world history through the historical Yemeni figures including Al-Hamadani, Al-Razi, and Al-Shawqani. And due to its uniqueness, it was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1986. As the old city of Sana'a is one of the oldest cities in the world, continuously inhabited for more than 2,500 years.
Awam archaeological temple located in Ma'rib is subjected to damage. This report has more details.
The archaeological Awam temple located in Ma'rib Governorate east of Yemen is subjected to a series of vandalism, timbering, deliberate excavation, and organized looting in every part of it, in a blatant and flagrant attack on the civilization and human heritage of this ancient temple, whose construction dates back to the 2nd millennium BC. A tribal source in Ma'rib revealed that the historic Awam temple is constantly being looted by gunmen as they excavate inside the ancient temple in search of carved columns, valuable knobs, and antiques. According to the source, the process of sabotage and timbering affected the second oldest tablet library of inscriptions in history, in which more than 1,000 archaeological inscriptions were found, and the gate of the most prominent kings of Himyar was destroyed by antiquities looters. A prominent Yemeni rights group has documented heavy damage to archaeological sites in Yemen, which urged the international community to protect Yemen's collective memory. The war in Yemen has impacted everything and has not spared the lives of Yemenis and their cultural properties, including the rich history. It isn't only a loss for Yemenis, but also for the cultural heritage of all peoples.
The European Union announced it will provide a new humanitarian aid package worth €210 million to the most vulnerable groups in 15 countries, including Yemen. The EU Commission indicated it has allocated €35 million through which it will provide food aid to the most vulnerable groups in North and South Yemen. Here's a reminder of the main headlines. Yemeni government blames international community for appeasing Houthi militia. Houthi drone strikes on Qena Port draw regional and international condemnation. Houthi criminal machine claims lives of Yemeni children nationwide. This is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.